let's be honest, your skill is pretty low in ARAM. Don't make that face, bro.
What's up, Damonte?
How's it going, Mahir?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right,
Despite the loss.
despite the loss.
When I look at this Shopify roster, I actually get a feeling very similar to like the COG/NRG roster. Do you kind of like see where I'm coming from in that regards?
Well, we're definitely underdogs.
Yeah, that's what
So
it is.
it's like, I think that roster was a little bit different because at that point, no one was really proven. But
Yeah.
now we have 4 players who've won championships before. And then B-Boy, who's like hungry as ever to get one. So it's a little bit different because I think like we have players who've already like done it. And now they're like considered back to like where they were before they actually did it. So it makes sense to have that vibe. But it is a little different.
Yeah, I feel like the narrative around some of these players, especially Fudge/Palafox, is like, oh, these guys are washed. And obviously I disagree with a lot of those opinions, but I do get a lot of like that. Again, no one's really expecting these guys to kind of shake it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm really interested to hear your opinions on what it takes to be a successful coach, because we see a lot of criticisms over with our friends in the LCK in regards to Coma. So I was like, as someone who has won on both NRG and also FlyQuest, what do you think defines a good coach?
I think, well, it's a very hard question because coaching can be a million different things. You can have analysts, you could have, I would say like vibe guys. I think you could have like very deep strategical minds on macro. So I think what defines a good coach is like taking the ideas that you have and actually being able to spread the influence onto the team, because there's so many different ways to do it. I think you see people like Spawn, who is much more of like, he's like the head of Team Liquid. He's the head of coaches. He gives everyone a direction. But then I think when I think of a coach like maybe Rigby or Lyra, when I've worked with them in the past, I think these guys are much more strategical minds. So I think a lot of it is like finding your niche as like what you can do, and then figuring out how you can kind of get that spread across 5 different humans, which is like, that is usually the most challenging part.
Biases aside, do you have a favorite roster you've coached? Because I feel like
Favorite roster?
Yeah, I feel like it has to be the FlyQuest. I don't know. There was just some kind of like bromance I felt whenever I watched you in the FlyQuest building. Like,
No, I mean, the FlyQuest guys, they have a great culture there. Like, I think in 1 year, I've never seen a team kind of like build a vibe and a culture so well, which like I'm super, super proud of. And part of that is like, it hurt a lot to leave. Like, it was a very tough decision for me to leave that, because it was like going into 2024, FlyQuest was nothing. It was a full wipe. It was like 8 new people, or 5 new players, 4 new coaches. And yeah, we built up a pretty good vibe there. So I would say, as of right now, probably FlyQuest.
So, I mean, you mentioned it was really hard to leave. I think one of the people you left behind was Coach Mark.
You know, some of my success comes from myself, but I would say my own performance coach has done a majority of the work, and his name is Mark.
All right, sleepyhead, wake up. It's Standard Time. Rise and grind. Come on, baby.
Can you kind of run me through the whole relationship, professional and personal, you had with Coach Mark?
Do you think anyone knows who Coach Mark is?
I mean, if they don't know already, they'll know after this video.
Like, I mean, I'm going to miss Coach Mark, obviously. I think Coach Mark, he left a lasting impact on my life, so.
I mean, after this game, I think Impact also left an impact on this game. What happened today?
Bro, what is wrong with you?
Several things.
You know, I played ARAM with this guy last night, and he was just griefing all the time.
What are you talking about? I will put my KDAs on screen. I smurfed.
Dude, you were like complaining the whole game while just getting destroyed.
What do you mean complaining? I was muted, fucking full muted, like tryharding. What do you mean griefing?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, your skill is pretty low in ARAM. Don't make that face, bro.
I smurf every game I touch.
Why do you lie?
I'm not lying.
You are lying.
I've never told a lie.
Bro, you definitely have.
I outperformed
How
Damonte
old are
Trundle. How old am I? Like,
Yeah.
I'm 22.
You're 22, and you're telling me you've never told a lie. You're in like the peak lying age.
What does age have to correlate with lying?
Because like your frontal lobe hasn't fully developed yet, so like you probably lie all the time without even thinking about it.
Shit,
Like, he like had to think about that. He had to think about that.
He's kind of right.
Yeah.
A gulp.
Off the
Well,
cuff.
it's like until I can meet someone who can outperform this thing right here.
You're a lefty?
No, I'm a righty, which is really interesting. I'm a righty, right? But my left is like, if I took off my shirt, my left is like slightly disproportionately more muscular. I've evened it out now, but like for a while, it was like if I flex.
Do you have like some insecurities about stuff like that?
No, not really. I don't really care.
Are you sure?
I've never talked about this with anyone. So like even my therapist didn't know about this. So now you know about my muscular imbalances.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad you worked on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like evened out now. I do think there's like a slight strength like difference, but it's like 5% versus like 25%.
It's kind of. It could be just genetics as well.
It could be.
It's like a left nut, right nut kind of thing.
Something like that. I mean, it's kind of interesting though, because like I'm right hand dominant, so you would think that
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, anyways, going back to like what actually matters.
What does actually matter?
I think you matter.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
I think you actually might have the sickest like nickname / meme in LCS history.
You think it's the sickest?
I think Tanner Time is like really up there.
Yeah. What about Big Benson? Do you remember that one? That was like the counter to Tanner Time back in the day.
Is that Jensen?
Yeah, Jensen. He was like a Big Ben, you know?
But like I feel like the only good Jensen meme was like bodied by Jensen.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Tanner Time is a classic for sure.
It's just smooth and rolled off the tongue. I'm trying to think of like other iconic ones. Like there was Rush Hour for double lift and
that was fire, yeah.
But then it's like the way things ended. I feel like if they'd had like a longer tenure together, it would have been like better than Tanner Time. But I think like how much Tanner Time really defined like North American League of Legends for a little bit. Your Kiana back in the day, you were a mean Kiana.
Yeah, I just had it. I was dirty.
In a league full of control mages.
And now look at me. What am I doing now? I'm a coach. I'm old. But I think to take the interview a bit more serious of a place. I think like I've experienced a very massive life shift in the last like 5 years because it's only been 6 years since Clutch Gaming, and back then, like I was saying how your like frontal lobe isn't developed yet. Mine definitely wasn't developed back then.
Were you also 22?
I think I was younger. I was 20, 21. And back then it's just like I was just kind of like playing the game, enjoying things. And I think over the last 4 years from when I like stopped playing pro and to even go back to like what makes a good coach, what makes an impactful coach, I think it's taking all of the things that you've kind of learned in your time and being able to like really express them in a way that people can listen to you. And I think that's why I've found a lot of success since I've had the transition is because I was in the same spot as a lot of these guys. And I think it's really important that the players can kind of relate to the coach and that the coach is able to have this like overall vision of like what is going on, where are we going? And something I like truly believe in is like every little thing that you do matters, especially as a coach, because you're almost painting a picture for the team. You're like an artist and your players are your
canvas.
Your canvas or your pens and trying to get that art piece all combined and finished and beautiful is like that's a journey that I've come to really enjoy. So like I think like there's just so much depth to what makes a good coach, and yeah, it's really fun kind of like going after that and learning more about it.
Yeah, you defined niches earlier. You mentioned some coaches who might fit in the whole culture category versus analytical. And when I think of you, I think you're someone who, and based on the players I've talked to as well, I think you fit probably into a little bit of everything. But I think you do really care about culture a lot, and that is reflected with the teams you've been on. It always feels like this is like brotherly bond of sorts. When I think of Damonte, I think of like the small percentage of frat kids who weren't weirdos. Like you strike me as a frat kid, but in a good way.
Sure.
It's like the chill frat kids. So like what would you say the culture at Shopify currently is like? And what makes these guys special in your opinion?
The culture of Shopify. So, I'm coming into a team that failed like pretty poorly in split one. So it's we kind of I came in and I was feeling things out. I was like, okay, where is this team actually at? And I realized very quickly a lot of things needed to change. Mm-hmm. So, I from day one, I'm trying to change the narrative in our own heads. And what it feels like right now is that a lot of our players, coaches, this is esports in general, but every year could be your last. And it's important to take that. And if you're sitting in that idea and you allow it to negatively impact what you think, how you feel every day, you're like pressured to do better because you don't want to fail. Yeah. And that entire mindset has to be 180'd. You need to be like, okay, I've done it before. Why can't we do it again? And to me, the fact that we actually have 4 championship players, Seos was the best support in Brazil, and the other 3 have won the LCS. It's like,
recently.
Yeah, it's like there's no reason for us to actually have this feeling of damn, we suck. Like, oh, I hope we can do it. Like, we've already done it before. Tap into what all these players have done before and get after it. I think it's still early, so like it takes time to build these things up. And outside of just like a culture and a vibe level with the team, we have a lot to catch up on strategically. And just like getting on par with the other teams, what you see today. I think we played a lot of this Team Liquid match on borrowed time. From minute 4, we were already basically behind and like having to claw back. So, you have to actually be a good team to also get that culture growing in a positive way.
Yeah. So, I mean, from what it sounds like, you are pretty optimistic about the future, but you are also, in the same sense, kind of pragmatic. Like, it might take a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a big thing on our whiteboard at Shopify right now. It's basically there's 32 days until Split 2 playoffs, and then 180 days until Split 3 Worlds, or just like World start and end of Split 3. And it's a good reminder to everyone that, the short term, it matters, but what really, really matters is like, can we from this day like grow over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months?
Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Damonte.
GG's.
Yep.
Also, you're like really bad at ARAM, bro.
Bro, like, turn off the cameras.